Hey, party people, welcome to a brand new edition of SJU this week. Sorry, we were singing right up until the very countdown. We got a Star Wars stew going today. We have all sorts of bits and bobs of delicious Star Wars news that we're gonna whip together in a nice goulash, plus some casting news, some new Blade movie casting that I'm interested in. We'll talk about the new Turning Red Pixar trailer that I thought was pretty good, spoiler alert, and a MacGruber featurette that I thought was even better, unsurprising, spoiler alert. We'll also take your live chat questions and comments, so keep those coming. And we also sent Emma to a junket for a new Resident Evil movie that's coming out, so we'll bring you all of that and more. But we begin in a galaxy very near and dear to our hearts, Burbank, California, where at the Disney office, there's a nice big contract got slid across the desk to Kathleen Kennedy, and she has been extended through, well, I'm looking at this now, only through 2024. She has to re-up like when did she get her first deal?
I mean, she's had a couple of renewals. I had heard a little conflicting stuff about this, that maybe it was a 3-year renewal. They never like announced it though. So
yeah, that doesn't seem like very long. So she's gotten like a 2-3 year extension, assuming this like kicks in next year. That's not even enough time to like make a movie, a Star Wars movie.
These are now officially, I'm sorry, not something you care about, Spencer, but these are officially now like WWE contracts where it's like, okay, well, you get like another 2 years. Maybe.
Well, the interesting thing is, yeah, it's like when you have a short contract like that, I watch the NBA, so it's like a LeBron thing where he signs like 1-year extensions, and it's on the presumption that he'll do so well every year that they'll have to keep offering him more and more money, or he'll get to control, where he goes. Whereas Kathleen Kennedy, I guess she's betting on herself. She's like, I'm going to do so well in the next 3 years that you're going to have to sign me an even bigger check in 2024.
Or she's going to demand a trade if that doesn't work out.
Demand a trade to the DCEU.
The Jurassic World franchise.
I will say
she is one of those. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, just this that this is 10 years since she became the head of Lucasfilm. Because she became the head right before, a few months before the Disney deal. Because Lucas himself hired her. So I was like, okay, even if she leaves in 2024, that'll be 12 years there, which for the people that's like, she's gone, they're getting rid of her any second. It's like, well, she's at least making it 12 years, guys.
Yeah, that is a decade plus of service.
Yes.
So she's been behind the, should we start with Kathleen Kennedy, or should we get all the Star Wars news out and then discuss it all? Or should we pause to reflect on Kathleen Kennedy, her contract? Are we surprised, or does this deal make sense to you?
It's so hard because if you're a nerd on the internet, you think that like, yeah, of course they're getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy because she ruined Star Wars, even though she's in charge of a bunch of the stuff that y'all really loved in the last couple of years, but it's fine. A 2-year extension feels like someone put their package on the table. I don't know which party it was, but someone threw it up on the table and was like, look, like this is what we're doing, and we will extend for the future. Damn it, Danielle. And it's either Kathleen Kennedy or it's Lucasfilm.
That wasn't even a double entendre. That was like half an entendre. You're really cramming them in there, Danielle.
It's been a morning. I'm like, I'm really on my not SJ game for. But
to me, that says that they're making like a big bet on something that's going to happen in the next 2 years, and it's like, if this works, we're good, and if it doesn't, like that's your last shot. What do you think?
Checking it is 3 full years because it's all of 2022, 23, and 24,
and so it includes 24.
Yeah, it's through the end of 2024. So
yeah,
3 years.
Okay, but we have, I mean, as far as what's coming out in that period of time, I think it's interesting. She's done a mixed job because the Star Wars films, I think, they've been a mixed to negative bag as far as reception and even performance. I mean, they always every trilogy has gone down with each release, I believe, unless maybe the last prequel did better than the second one. There's always a dip. There's always like a dip, and they never reach the heights of the first installment of the trilogy. So it's in line with that, but I think critically also hasn't been a huge success with the films like Solo and Rogue One, but at the same time, Star Wars TV has kind of emerged as a phoenix like from the ashes and has been what right now is the future of the franchise. So it's a mixed bag. But what do you think? What movie is coming out in the next 3 years that we'll have to evaluate Star Wars as a theatrical experience again? Because they're not. We'll move on to our next story because it's a news story. It's not Rian Johnson and it's not Patty Jenkins. Is there going to be a Star Wars film by 2024?
I mean, maybe could that Taika one happen? You know, we don't know. There's like all this. It's very strange that like the whole weird thing with her run and the Disney era. We should also say is just the how much problems they've had with the movie side, which you'd think would be pretty confident versus now the streaming side, which seems like guns a blazing. We're all set. But once I heard that Patty Jenkins movie had, you know, at least been pushed off a bit, and now it sounds like it might be completely shelved. It's like, when do we get another Star Wars movie? We know there's the Kevin Feige produced one and there's the Taika one. We just don't know when any of these are going to be ready actually to release, you know?
I kind of feel like it's all based on like the new streaming stuff which everyone is like super psyched about and we know nothing about, which is how I prefer my Star Wars. Don't tell me anything. I already know it. Fucking deserts, Tatooine, lightsabers, dudes in robes for no good goddamn reason. Like I already know what I'm doing.
If I'm in the desert, I'm putting on a robe.
I don't want tight pants on in the desert. But I think I kind of I glossed over it. But the Hollywood Reporter's Matthew Bologna has reported that Rian Johnson's trilogy is shelved, and as with the Patty Jenkins Rogue Squadron film that we talked about on a previous episode, indicating that both shelvings are due to creative differences. And that's got to be creative differences with Kathleen Kennedy, right? Who else would be making that final call?
Yeah, I will say with the Rian Johnson thing, I have been skeptical we were ever going to get that trilogy from the moment Last Jedi opened. You know, I do not side with the you've ruined everything contingent of Twitter, but you don't open a movie that gets that visceral a negative reaction and be like, we are making 3 more movies with this guy, you know, like for sure. It just felt like there was going to be a lot of discussions about that. So I've always been skeptical of that. I will say on the movie side, I give her like, there's some leniency there because we know that Disney, for instance, was really gung-ho on those release dates for the trilogy. And that if she'd had her way and JJ had his way, these things would have taken a lot more time to work on. But they're like, no, like the most they got was like a 6-month extension for Force Awakens. But after that, it's like, no, you're hitting these dates.
Yeah,
and a lot of things got
you mean when they delayed it?
Yeah, but like they didn't delay it that much, and so it's like, you know, that like I give some leniency on that, but at the same time, it is interesting that I think about how many press releases have gone out for things that never happened or didn't happen the way they were gonna. It's like, here's the one from the Game of Thrones guys, and Lord and Miller are doing a Star Wars movie, and Patty Jenkins is directing a Star Wars movie. So it is strange.
She put on the skates. She already skated for us.
But like the streaming stuff is going so well and seems to have like a lot of like clarity with like Filoni and Favreau. And like, you know, it just seems like the movies for whatever reason. So, and again, she does.
Well, that's the thing is, it's not. I think that's somewhat Kathleen Kennedy erasure because she's presided over the Disney.
No,
Plus
she
stuff
deserves
just as much as
absolute
as
credit for that too.
100%.
So it's just weird that the movies have this issue.
Yeah.
Do you think? Because this is what I think. Is that if Kathleen Kennedy decides to, or is pushed out, or whatever happens, that Filoni is going to take that mantle,
or Feige. I think it's one of the F's, F or F, because I think that Feige probably, not that he wants to jump ship from Marvel, but I imagine that he's in a place where what more can he do? It might be like kind of like Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, where he's like, okay, I just want to see that this next phase is like gets off to a good start, but then like, unless he just wants to be a lifer and just ride out every single phase of Marvel until the heat death of the sun, I think him wanting to step in and produce a Star Wars movie is kind of an indication that might be what he wants to do next.
I think it's going to be Filoni. I think if this doesn't work out for whatever reason, I think that is going to be what which is complete Catholic. Like I'm not into the Kennedy erasure as you were talking about. I think that she was a very pivotal role in all of these things that people really love, and it's unfair to erase her from that. But I do think that is the person who's next in line.
Yeah, but the question is do you want, who wants that throne? Because, you know, Kathleen Kennedy's job is I'm sure a more corporate, a more big picture, a more overseeing job, whereas Filoni wants to geek out about, like, you know, every moving part of every lightsaber.
Yeah,
so,
that's my question too, because we've heard that, for what it's worth, we've heard Feige might not be interested in the position. It did come up in some little thing, and then I wonder with Filoni the same thing. It's like being the head of Lucasfilm it seems like a way more of a business job even than heading Marvel Studios. Like it just seems like there's a lot more. Lucasfilm has been around a lot longer, and there's so many things they're connected to, like ILM and Willow, and like they're doing a lot.
You
of
inherit Indy 5. You got they drop that in your lap.
Well, and you know, not to like inside baseball, but as people who have watched people that we enjoyed being part of creative that had to go to business, they seemed like they liked creative more.
Of course, yeah, it's way better. But that's what the money's for, to quote Don Draper. And D.A. Baracus chimes in is that we are forgetting the third F, Favreau. Favreau could do it.
Favreau's an interesting trajectory, right? Like, yeah, maybe. Who knows?
He has more of a straight up producer back. I mean, obviously Filoni's been getting a lot of producer experience the last 5 years, but Favreau at least has like the idea of like, all right, I was a super producer and now I'm just moving up to a super duper producer, you know, in a way. But I don't think it would be either one of those, but you know,
Yep. Well, so let's just tie a bow on this the three Fs jockeying for the head honcho at Lucasfilm, because there's also another tidbit of interesting news. I think this is in an interview with Kathleen Kennedy herself, right? Is that we are going to get, well, not we are going to get, certainly these are not characters we're going to forget that will live on and there are conversations ongoing. This is in reference to characters from the new trilogy are going to show up, a new Star Wars trilogy are going to show up in one form or another in other media. Now that's super vague as I'm reading it. That means they could have like a Disney Plus series that takes place at the same timeline somewhere down the road. But do you think she's saying no, or she's saying they'll stick around, but do you think that, to what degree will we see the sequel trilogy characters again?
Honestly, I would be so into, and it was something that was like glossed over and I wish was paid more attention to, the formerly enslaved stormtroopers that like emancipated themselves, and then one of them was like, oh, I think you're really hot, and then that dude was like, oh, I think you're really hot, and then it was like, oh no, that's probably
is that the one where it's like your dad,
Calrissian's daughter.
That was explained in a novel. Yeah, it's canon. Yeah, I hate to disagree with you there, Danielle, but I don't love thinking of, you know, when I revisit Star Wars, every time I see them gun down a stormtrooper, I think that's like an escaped child slave or something like that, or somebody that...
Well, they established that didn't happen until later, but like
you're right. That didn't happen until later.
And the first two trilogies, those were all volunteers, and then
clones
later,
and volunteers, right?
And then later. They were
abducted.
Hey, don't forget, Spencer.
It was all trial trafficked cops.
And don't forget, Spencer, like we're at a point now where it's like, hey, guess what? Those sand people were people. Like,
yeah.
They're just like, they're monsters.
It's right there in the name.
Yeah.
Also, who said sand people was okay? Okay, fine. That's a different argument.
No, that's a whole thing. Yeah, I've always felt this was inevitable. I've talked before about how it's all cyclical with Star Wars. And there are kids who grew up just like loving the Star Wars trilogy, the new movies, and don't have the qualms that we have with them, that will in 10 years be like, yeah, I'd want to see more of, you know, Rey or any of these characters. And I also think, I just feel like they're going to want, even the fact that they're doing stuff like the Lego Star Wars, where they're like, oh, Rey's training Finn. And I know that's not canon, but they're thinking about it. And I'm like, we're going to see Finn again. I just feel, and I know people are like, oh no, you've seen John Boyega like, doesn't like how he was treated and all that. I'm like, yeah, but they're going to come to him and be like, yes, we're going to do this right. You will be the central character in your Disney Plus series. Yeah. It'll be all about you becoming a Jedi. I just think
what's that over there? Oh, it's a multiverse. Oh, it's slightly different this time. Oh, let's do it again.
Oh, what's that over there? Money. Yeah. Oh, it's just a bunch of money. So we're just going to give you that. And then you're going to come back. Oh yeah. Finn Poe is like we're not going to get the ship that we want, you guys, my little queer babies. But I
won't be
do
full
think
docking on camera.
So that'll have to go on Hulu for sure. Yeah.
That's Hulu plus plus. That's Hulu OS.
Hulu Max.
Hulu After Dark.
Disney Plus Max. There you go.
Yes, Disney Plus Max OF. But I absolutely agree. Like, I think that like people have learned that Black dollars spend, and they do, because they do. And so if you give Finn a lightsaber and make him a lightsabery Jedi dude and like watch his progression and see what happens with him, even if a lot of it happens off camera, or they decide to even bring him in as like a guest star, yeah, we're gonna be into it because Black dollars spend, and we want to see. I'm sorry, I love you, Samuel L. Jackson. You're amazing, but you were so sad as a Jedi. It was not the same. But watching like a little baby like Finn come into his own, answer the hero's call, blah blah blah, all that stuff. That's
I can see that for sure. Whether they get John Boyega to put the vest, I don't know. What did he wear? To put that back on.
He wore his boyfriend's jacket.
He wore his boyfriend's jacket.
Yeah, the big hoodie.
Also,
but an animated series with him coming back to voice it, or really a Finn and Rey training sequence, or a show, that would be great.
And these big, giant expanded universe things, not the expanded universe, but just like, this it's all connected stuff. One thing they're so good at is redeeming stories people didn't like in the past.
Yeah,
they did it with Star Wars, with the prequels themselves, and the fact that the Clone Wars and all this extra material made people like more invested in that era, and an Anakin in that era. You see it with MCU, which is obviously much more just loved overall, but it's like, what's the weakest movie? A lot of people would say Thor: The Dark World. What if they just spent like a couple of movies and streaming series kind of redeeming and making more important Thor: The Dark World?
Yeah,
it will come the time for the Star Wars sequel trilogy to get that thing of like, we're gonna we can't fix the movies themselves, but we can fix like weaknesses in the characters and stuff by adding all this extra layers to it.
We'll take those little gaps and time jumps and cram them full of deleted series and adventures that you didn't know happened right in between the time Snoke was grown in that jar and the time when he got his head chopped off. Young Snoke had all these adventures.
They gotta sell jars of Snoke.
Jars of Snoke.
Jars of Snoke.
It's like kombucha with like a old pickle in it.
This looks like something you'd find at the circus, where it's like, look at the crazy Jedi man.
Like a bunch of kimchi in it.
Yeah. All right, this is gross. Let's stop.
Probiotics.
The long story short,
that's what Rob was always drinking on the show, by the way, was a jar of Snoke. That's what he was drinking on the screen.
Oh, I can taste it. So yeah, I think her Star Wars tombstone will say movies, Disney Plus, off to the races. Well done. But I think the next 3 years will tell the story even further. We'll check. We'll have another Star Wars video for you within the next 3 years.
We'll talk about Star Wars again at some point.
No, we're done. We're never talking about Star Wars again.
See you in 2024 for our next check-in on the Star Wars franchise.
See you in 3 weeks.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all for subscribing and watching and liking and hitting that bell, because now we're talking about Blade and MacGruber. Not much to report. Blade has cast Delroy Lindo, one of my favorites. You saw him in Five Bloods most recently, among other things. He's gonna be in Blade. That's always a good thing, right? No qualms there. Do we know who he's playing?
We don't know who he's playing. There was a lot of speculation, either Whistler or the character Whistler was basically based upon, which is a character named Jamal Afari, who was a black character who was Blade's mentor in the comic books. So it feels like Delroy Lindo would be a great Blade mentor. And again, Delroy Lindo is always a great addition to anything. So this is one of those castings that just puts a smile on your face. Like, Delroy Lindo is going to be in Blade. Great.
Yeah, he could do whatever he wants. He can be, he can be Blade's mom. I don't give a shit. Like, he's Delroy.
Yeah, have a weird incestuous moment,
Lindo.
like
Oh my
in the
God.
Snipes movie.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no, not that. No, not that. Just because incest is weird. But man on man. But incest, weird. But yeah, no, Delroy Lindo can be any character that he wants in any of these movies. He could be like a mayor that's like, Blade, you're going half cocked on this mission and you're a loose cannon and blah 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 blah.
The angry police sergeant.
Like,
Damn
yeah,
it, Blade. Turn in your sunglasses and your steak.
Put your trench coat here on this hanger. Like, I will take anything that they want to give us. So whatever he winds up being, I'm hoping that it's Whistler or that Whistler-esque character that you were talking about. I just want Delroy Lindo on my TV.
Yep.
He's one of those people where it's like, we need to give him his flowers while he's alive, y'all. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Give him his flowers now.
Yeah. Totally. I think that this is unquestionably perfect casting, and we don't even know the role. Just have him play himself. Just have Blade go, oh, look, it's Delroy Lindo. Sweet.
Hi, I'm Delroy Lindo. And then just
maybe he knows how to kill vampires. Wait, what was that 80s movie where like the actor that plays a vampire killer actually has to be a Fright Night? Yeah, it should just be a Fright Night role.
Just rewatched Fright Night a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Pixar's on to more Disney news. Everything is Disney. They dropped a trailer for Turning Red, which I thought looked great and emotional and will teach me about the power of friendship and growing up and perhaps becoming a red panda one day. It looked a little bit like the Hulk, right? This is Pixar's Hulk.
Well, it looked a lot like Teen Wolf, the 80s Teen Wolf, in that it's like, we never told you the family secret, like we're all bears, but it looks adorable.
Oops, all bears.
Oops, all bears.
But it looks like it'll make me cry.
It reminds me, and I'm very biased because I wrote a comic about this, so I have to preface this by saying I'm biased. It reminds me of the show Agretzko, in that when Agretzko is a little red panda that is very passive aggressive, but when she gets angry, she like turns metal. So this is what that reminded me of. It's like, oh, well, when I get angry, suddenly I turn into this like little panda. I'm just gonna keep doing that. But I think it's really cute. I love it's. I don't love body horror, but I love horror.
Yeah.
My mom. We joke about this a lot. That my mom is from the Bronx, and she says hara.
It's a
lot of people
movie.
say horror. I just enunciate too much. But yeah, I love the idea that like you get really angry and then you just become this giant cute thing.
And you learn not to be such like such an overachiever. It's like Kafka's Metamorphosis that you want a pet.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I love the idea. Like I always love these things where it's like, no, like you can't punch down your feelings. You have to feel your feelings, and once you process it, basically every Pixar movie is get therapy.
Or if you can't afford it, watch Pixar movies. This is our healthcare
alternative
system. Yeah, we've outsourced it to children's films. I mean, come on, this is another easy win for Pixar. It's like a factory for this kind of thing, and damn it if it doesn't work every time.
I do have to say, I rolled my eye. Y'all saw me. Y'all watched me watch the trailer. I rolled my eyes so hard at the "it's gonna be me" needle
really?
drop.
I like the fact that it's like
they went all in on
late 90s period piece. Or I mean, they are really going for just the bullseye of young parents who are going to take their children to this. It's like, I remember that. I remember Tamagotchi. I remember NSYNC. I clapped when I heard it. It's get ready to see the things of our youth sold back to us as a trick to get our children into it.
And I'm usually ready for it. This one took me by surprise.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, we have there's some really good live chat questions that I want to get to, so I will just briefly say they dropped like a 6.5 minute MacGruber featurette. It's like a fake interview with him from prison, and it's hilarious, and you should all go watch it. And MacGruber's coming to Peacock December 16th, so we can do a countdown to Gruber at some point.
I just want to say how excited I am because this is one of those like, oh, we're just getting gifts that this exists. I tweeted this morning that the true story of the time I went to see MacGruber, which was a giant bomb, and me and my friends were like 5 of like the 15 people in the theater opening night, and I laughed loud, and I'm laughing so much, and there's this a-hole goes, could you stop laughing so loudly? To which I go,
it's a comedy.
I said to him, I go, I'm sorry, I'm laughing at the funny comedy. I was like, why am I arguing with someone about laughing too loud at MacGruber.
That's great.
Anyway, the show is for me. Is my
well,
point.
now you can do it in the comfort of your own home, but invite him over and show him what it's like to enjoy your life.
Right.
All right, let's move on to the chat because I think there's some really good questions here. Zeno Hour asks, Kennedy steps down and Disney hires you to run Lucasfilm. What's your first move? For him or her? It's a R-rated Max Rebo, I guess, project.
The true story of that band behind the scenes.
Yeah, behind the music.
You don't want any part of this, Max.
Yeah. They're death sticks. they make music sound better. What are death sticks?
Right.
All right, Danielle, you're a budding mogul. What's your first move?
I want to say something really funny like oops all Ewoks, but honestly, it would be like Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
For sure. It would just be Knights of the Old Republic. Although oops all Ewoks does sound really fun.
Yep.
Just imagine every one of your favorite characters, but now they're an Ewok.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I was gonna say we got 2 Ewok movies. We have Caravan of Courage and the other one.
No. Just recast all of them. So it's like like Luke Ewok.
Like
everything
babies,
is
but they're all Ewoks. Gotcha.
They're all Ewoks.
Okay. I'm sold. Eric,
no, you're not. It's very dumb.
Even though I could think of a million other things, in the moment I'm blanking, so I'll just go with the character we used for the GIF of our tweet for today's episode, talking about sequel trilogy and bringing back characters. Babu Frick, I think, is one of the few things people were aligned on liking from Rise of Skywalker. So give Babu Frick all the time, just,
I don't know. I think a little Frick goes a long way.
No, we're gonna get
like a Babu Frick talk show or something.
His whole crew, he's gonna have adventures across the galaxy, he's fixing droids. It's great. It's wacky.
All right, fine.
Fun with Frick.
I want to do Star Wars What If. Even though I'm not a big Marvel What If fan, I think all of these canceled projects should get like an animatic treatment, at least of like the Rian Johnson one. There was even the Game of Thrones guys did one. There's the Colin Trevorrow one. Like there's been so many aborted Star Wars projects that it'd be great to get them all together and be like, what if we gave it to XYZ PRQ? And then that can be a way for them to test to see like, oh, fans actually like this one. Let's do this one for real. That would be my backdoor poll to see what people actually wanted out of Star Wars, is to get every canceled project in front of everyone to see which one they like. Let the people decide.
Like it's like when Amazon used to do those pilots and they put them all up.
Yeah,
what do you want more of?
That was a mess.
Don't let the people decide.
No.
I'm the people and we're terrible.
And greenlight the fan-made Last Jedi remake. Just give them $100 million to spend. But the condition is that you have to do an all-access documentary of the whole process that we own the complete rights to, that we have final cut on.
Right.
Those are my conditions. All right, Adam Hulbert writes, who's the creepier movie villain this year? Evan Hansen from Dear Evan Hansen or Gabriel from Malignant? Now, I guess spoilers for Malignant, but we don't even have to talk about that because I don't think we gave Evan Hansen his due, because I watched that movie maybe a month ago or something, and wow.
I kind of wanted to do a trailer for it, but I don't think we can.
I was going to say, but we'd have to do music. But then again, like, there's really not that much music in it. And it's usually just him singing while he's sitting down.
I'm really sad. And I'm a liar about a guy who killed himself.
He is a psychopath. That is a really, really...
like a sociopath. Like, doesn't...
But at least he got that, saved the old apple orchard that guy went to once when he was a little kid. Anyways, we should do a whole episode on Dear Evan Hansen of some kind, because I know I'm late to the party, but wow, that was a crazy film. Eric, did you see it?
I know, I wanted to see it. I still haven't seen it yet. I need to watch. I need to live it for myself.
Yeah,
we'll do a pre-tape on it. I'll write that down. We need ideas.
Great. Also, Adam Hulbert asks, can we have Spencer review the movie Spencer? I should, because I'm seeing the billboards all over town.
That
and
one
I
I've
look
seen.
at them and I just nod and be like, yep, our time has come. I'm all about it because previously Spencer was a name only shared by, if you're old, it's Spencer Tracy, but if you're of our generation, it's Spencer Pratt. And I feel like we can do better as a name. So I'm hoping that Diana Spencer is a little bit of redemption. I'm doing my part, but I'm ready for someone else to carry the torch. Let's see. Ben Zaiten asks, how's the weather in LA? It's lovely. It's lovely year round. That's why
it's been all over the place
here.
lately.
It's been really hot, right?
Well, then we got like 2 days of feeling like it was going into winter, and then it shot back up to the 80s. It's very
like 80s right now. Yeah.
Very inconsistent.
Oh man, there's so many good fan questions. Sorry, I picked one about the weather. We'll move on, but we only have time for one more because I know we got to get to the Resident Evil junket. And I will go with this. Green Star asks, he or she binged the new Cowboy Bebop, Tiger King 2, and Wheel of Time over the weekend. Has anyone watched or is planning to watch any of them? I checked out the Cowboy Bebop. I didn't finish it, but look, I like it, but it's not good. I think Danielle, you had kind of the same review too, right?
I like it, but it's not good.
Yeah, it's very campy, and it very much has the vibe of a really expensive fan film or like fan recreation, which I think is true of like a lot of live action anime. But yeah, sometimes anime does not translate into live action, but you're in this catch-22 where if you do it super faithfully, it's gonna look like a weird fan homage. But if you change things up, then the fans who love it are gonna get mad at you. And they didn't really stick it, but I think it's very endearing and kind of fun.
It sucks because I really think that if it wouldn't have been based on an existing property and was just like a pastiche of all of these things, everyone would have loved it.
Yeah, or dare I say a prequel or like some other alternate cowboy like Spike stories that you have never seen before. But the fact that you're taking the exact same characters and exact same storylines, it looks like they just filmed it outside of Comic-Con. But Eric, what any of those?
I've seen a little bit of Cowboy Bebop. I've enjoyed it on kind of the level you're talking about so far. Like kind of an arm's length, like amusement level. I think we've talked about Tiger King 2 and how that ship has sailed. I don't need more Tiger King. Wheel of Time is one that, again, I'm not a hard fantasy guy. And so the fact that I'm hearing pretty divisive stuff on this, I'm like, this one's probably not for me. And like, unless people are like raving about it, I'm usually like, on the fantasy stuff. So I'll probably finish Cowboy Bebop, but I don't know if Wheel of Time. Maybe over the holidays, I'll check it out out of curiosity.
Yeah, it's got the Joe Star seal of approval, so maybe we'll have to bring him on to do a Wheel of Time check-in. But he was already a fan, so I don't know. I want to dive in, but there you have it.
Also, no spoilers for Cowboy Bebop, but just watch any late 90s rap video.
Yeah, exactly. That gives you the.
Are they on a boat?
Not on the boat, but just all the like the fisheye lens and the like.
Yeah,
yeah, it is like a music video for better and worse.
Hype Williams.
Yeah, oh God, love. I need to
That's a
Belly. So I will now kick it over to you, Eric, and let's save Ryan. Let's save a lot of these fan questions for some holiday pre-tapes, which we will take a vacation someday, and we'll get to those then. Eric, what's up with this junket?
Our own Emma Fife. She did the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City junket, which is the new movie that's like a total reboot from the previous Resident Evil movies. And what they really talked about was this one is way more based on the games, like very directly. They're pulling from the first two games, especially. So the director and the cast talked about that and what the influences were, and also taking the characters and maybe deepening them a little bit from there. So that's what they discussed.
Awesome. All right, y'all. We'll see you soon later this week. Enjoy the junket. Bye for now.
So, Johannes, there is so much love and attention to detail for the Resident Evil series in this film. How did you go about including so many elements from honestly all the iterations of the first two games without the movie just becoming like a fan service fest?
I'm just a nerd. So then it would just be like bringing in, I would want stuff, it was so fun and people would let me have it. I'd be like, I want the police station. It's like, well, okay, there you go. And I want it to look exactly like the police. I want the blueprints from Capcom. Okay, we'll get that. Well, I want the artwork from the mansion. I want the exact artwork. And people would just kept giving it to me. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll keep asking. So it was really that, but it was always story first. Is how I approached it.
So Kaya, Claire has a real scrappy sort of final girl energy about her in this film. How did you go about making her your own while still honoring the myriad of source material that exists?
I really wanted to find the different elements of all the incarnations of Claire over the years that people loved, and I wanted to take little bits from each one. So, what makes her really funny, what makes her really interesting, what makes her a badass. So I kind of then my plan was to build the ultimate Claire out of all of them. She's messier, she's edgier, she's rougher.
Johannes, and after reading his script and meeting with him, it was very clear to me that he was the right person to make this movie. And you know, he had such passion for the games and was such a gamer himself. And what I thought he did so well was he took these characters that, you know, are maybe a little one-dimensional from RE1 and 2 and fleshed them out and made them, you know, a little more like full, complete human beings, and gave them flaws and built these relationships between them and made you really care about them.
How did you come to the decision to have that relationship between Claire and Chris Redfield be sort of the central driving force behind the movie?
At the time, I was really enjoying the reboot of the second game. That changed my whole perspective on games in general, just how cinematic that was, and that became like a real blueprint for me for the movie. So it was just this great device of having Claire coming back into town, searching for her brother, which she does in the second game, but finding him. But then he goes off and he starts, you know, he basically does the first game. And, you know, we have that whole narrative there.
I kind of wanted to build on this idea that she doesn't like being told what to do. And that kind of starts with her brother, you know, and they have this reunion. It isn't a big lovey-dovey, oh, bro, I've missed you. In fact, she kind of reverts back into a teenage, petulant child. That she knows who she is, and she's had to survive for a very long time on her own. So she doesn't take orders. She's happy to step into anyone else's shoes. It's also why she has this kind of awkward relationship with Leon to begin with in our movie, and that he seems to just get in the way and he's kind of annoying to her. I thought that was really funny and really interesting.
Yeah, he's trying his best with his very limited skill set. With Claire Redfield, who's so, and she's so laser focused in this way, and that's the way that she's written in Johannes's, you know, sort of world. So, you know, to sort of balance that, having someone who is sort of bumbling but not a buffoon, you know, because Leon's not a buffoon, but to be sort of like overstimulated and out of his depth, and that's the reason why he's stumbling is he's deeply hungover. You know, and also everyone's had that day where they're like being asked to do far too much.
In this movie, we really get to see Wesker's journey of kind of struggling with this idea of betraying his team, but still believing that he's doing the right thing.
The Wesker from the game can't exist in this world, you know, that Johannes has created. It's a very raw and realistic Raccoon City. So I think the Wesker from the game would stick out like a sore thumb in that. So we had to make like a more three-dimensional version of him and really see the person behind the sunglasses and that exterior and that sort of villainous exterior. You know, like we always say, you know, the villain is never the villain in their own head. They're always the hero of their own story. And that's what Wesker is. But that's what makes him very human, is that he has guilt. You know, it doesn't make it easy for him to do it, but he does it anyway, and that's how selfish he is.